Welcome to the Maasto Fitness podcast. Today, in episode 25, we're going to talk about how you can stay fresh traveling to races, and then what you can do on your way back to help boost recovery so you're feeling better and ready to tackle the next week of training, riding, racing, and prepping for the next race. So, this is a quick hit podcast where we keep them short and to the point, focusing on the things you can do off the bike to race faster and safer. At Maasto Fitness, we work with racers remotely in the real world. Many have a life full of commitments and don't have a lot of time to train off the bike or ride. We provide the training off the bike so days on the bike, whether riding or racing, are faster and safer. So like I said, we're going to talk about what you can do on the way to the race and then what you can do on the way home from the race. Now, these practices and principles are the same, whether that race is minutes away, hours away, or days away. I'm sure many of us have been in situations where we're lucky enough that we have a race that's like almost right down the road. And then other times we have a race that's literally a day trip, maybe more. For me, I know personally, my wife and I live in kind of a remote area. And so every race is quite a ways away. Most of them are almost a half day for me just to get to a race. So these are all practices that I make sure that I do for myself, and I know it definitely helps. If you've listened to these podcasts, you've probably heard me say before, when I was younger, like in my teens, early 20s, before I went to school for exercise science and got a degree and started a health and fitness business and then lived the lifestyle. I used to really suffer coming home from races, especially. I would just feel horrible. Driving was such a struggle. I just felt horrible because I didn't understand how to refuel my body and what to do. So we're going to talk about that refueling as well here, but we'll start with on our way to the race. Now, a couple of things we can do heading to the race. The longer the drive, the more this kind of becomes like a multi-hour all-day plan. A short drive, maybe not so much. So the first thing you can do is make sure you stay properly hydrated. I know I've got podcasts talking specifically about hydration in a previous episode, so go back and listen to that. But the basics are you don't want to be overhydrated, you don't want to be underhydrated, you want to stay properly hydrated. And sometimes in a car, that may be a little annoying. Driving to a race, it means more stops or whatever that might mean, but staying properly hydrated is important. Now, we don't want a completely clear urine. We want like a light amber. So that's a properly hydrated. You're not just, if you have a clear urine, you're really peeing out all the minerals and you're not really helping yourself. And but having that proper light amber is the way to go. Like I said, there's another episode all about that. So you can go back and listen to that. So that's first, staying properly hydrated. Two, longer drives so much. This is so important. Short drives might not really be eating, but a long drive, make sure you're keeping the food fresh and light so you stay energized and you feel well. I know driving, it can be easy to hit places and get fast food, but that food is heavy, not nutrient rich, and definitely not going to have you feeling great race day and not have you feeling great while you're traveling down the road to the race. So make sure you've got high quality food ready to go. I know for me personally, I pre-pack everything for a race before I'm on my way. I don't have a motorhome or a fun mover or anything. So I don't have that convenience of being able to make food there, but I do personally find it's logistically easier to make all my food before no matter what. So I know how long the drive is when I'm getting there the next day, all of that. So I make everything in advance and put it in a cooler for myself. And that includes what I'm eating on the way. So I already have my food planned out. There's no mystery of, oh, I got to stop here, figure this out at this exit. What I need to get or what should I get, or there's only kind of like not healthy options. I don't ever try to put myself in that situation. So I pre-make everything before, make sure I have quality, fresh food, has me feeling good going down the road, and it's keeping my body fresh and ready for the race day. So I'm avoiding that heavy stuff, and I would suggest anyone else who's racing or also wants to just have an awesome day on the trailer at the track should as well. So make sure you've got that high quality food. Now, the next one, this is probably the one that will feel the weirdest, but it is very beneficial. And that is when you're stopping to get gas, when you got to pull over for whatever reason, do some dynamic movements. Just kind of helps keep blood flowing through the body. As you're sitting there, your hips are really tight. Your hips are in that 90-degree angle in the vehicle. And also, we're not doing anything to help pump blood back up to our heart. So When we're contracting muscles, like when you contract muscles in your legs, it actually helps facilitate a little bit of blood flowing back to your heart from the lower part of your body. Now, what can happen if you're sitting a long time? That blood, in a sense, pools a little bit in the bottom of your body, and waste accumulates a little bit down there. And so you build up a little bit of waste. We're talking little amounts here of the blood pooling and the waste, but simply put, we're not contracting those muscles, so there's nothing to help kind of remove it a little quicker. So when you pull over to get gas or whatever it may be on these drives, do some squats, do some walking lunges, do some calf raises, do some dynamic movements. It'll feel weird, but it will greatly help you. I know for me, from over a decade here of different endurance sports, all types of endurance events where I'm driving, flying, whatever. Doing those types of things will really have you feeling a lot better. It felt weird the first couple times I did it at a gas station, on an airplane, but then once you start to actually notice, you feel a little fresher. You don't feel as beat, or tight getting out of the car when you get to the race or when I get off a plane for an event. I feel a little better. So it's definitely worth it. So I would highly suggest, just embrace it, go all in, do those movements. It'll have you feeling better. And ultimately, we're not pulling in the gas station to impress random people. We're pulling in the gas station to get fuel and everything we need for an awesome day at the track. And that's when we're really trying to go do our best. So think about the future when you're doing those movements. Definitely helps. Now, the race happened. We did our race. We got to the race. We did all these things. We hydrated. We ate some quality food. We did some dynamic movements. We feel fresh. We did the race. We went out there, had an awesome day, gave it our all. Now the race is over. Now, first, before we're driving, before anything, you need to make sure to get in some high quality food or fluid as soon as you get done. So males have a 45-minute window, females have a 30-minute window of when your body will reabsorb protein and carbohydrates and help get to those working muscles that you just work so hard, help start the recovery process in those muscles. So a 4-to-1 ratio of protein to carbs. Don't have to go crazy. Just make sure you're getting some quality carbs and protein in as soon as you are done, as soon as you can. That will definitely help boost recovery. That was one of my biggest problems when I was younger racing. My stomach would all be in knots from racing for a couple hours, racing hare scramble, GNCC, enduro, and because I didn't understand how to fuel my body right from the beginning, so I was already kind of making it hard on myself. Then I get done racing. Wow, I feel horrible. I don't want to eat anything. So then I'm not eating anything. And that ride home is just like a downward spiral of just like headache, feeling horrible. Now, like I said, I'm much better at fueling and understanding my body. And a big part of it is that little window you have to get something in. For me personally, I always have a smoothie ready to go. I make a smoothie the day before I leave for a race. And I have a smoothie with some fruit and protein powder. Simple, easy to get in. It's cold. It feels like refreshing. It's easy for me to get down no matter how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling really beat up or my stomach is my gut is feeling just a little beat, get that in and get that recovery started. So that's the first thing you want to do. Make sure to get something down. That's going to help the drive not be as horrible feeling or maybe as beat down feeling as you may have had in the past. And then next would be hydrate. Start rehydrating. Really general guideline is for each pound of body weight lost racing, you're losing about 16 to 20 ounces of fluid. So that's when you lose weight while you're racing, that's lost through dehydration. And when you think about it, when you're racing, you got all this gear on, heavy gear, really working a machine with like literally your whole body. We're going to lose fluid. And it is near impossible to stay completely hydrated while racing. You're always going to lose some, even if you are doing hare scramble, GNCC, enduro with a hydrator, or if you're racing motos and hydrating between motos, still going to lose some. So think about that. Start rehydrating. Like I said, I suggest using the urine test to make sure you're getting in enough fluid, but not overdoing it or underdoing it. That would be my suggestion for hydrating. So after the race, boom, you're rehydrating as well, actively rehydrating. And then make sure you're eating high quality food. So let's say now we're traveling, we're on the road, we're done with the race, we're on our way back home or to wherever the next place is. Make sure you're getting in high quality food. That's going to help as well, just like on the way. We don't want to have really heavy, not nutrient rich food. We want to make sure we're eating good quality food. So make sure that's what you're having. I know for me personally, my favorite, I don't know why, I always crave this after races. If it's available, which oftentimes it's not. But when the rare chances it is, Jimmy John's always just sounds so good to me. Um, I get just like whatever type of meat sub it may be, and I ask for extra vegetables on it. And I don't know what it is. Maybe that bread, the carbohydrates, is just like sounds so good. I think it's just I've burned so much energy that day, and carbohydrates are what really helps working muscles. And I think that just big, thick bread sub just sounds so good. So for me, that's like if I have the opportunity to stop somewhere on the way home, it's gonna be a Jimmy John's, no doubt, because I feel like it is kind of like fresher food. I wouldn't say it's like definitely nothing near the top of freshness, but it's a good choice for me, I think, post race because it always sounds good and it's got a good mix of fats, carbohydrates, protein, and it does have some vegetables on it. So I am kind of keeping things a little diverse. But just on your way home, think high quality. You want to be feeling better. You want to start getting ready for the next race. You want to make sure that this drive isn't super horrible. And if you don't have a super long drive, I know for me, it's really nice to get that mud off the bike the night after the race. It's a little less baked in on there. So all those factors come into play on your way home. So just think about your fueling on the way there, on the way home, and then also on the way home. You don't need to go crazy with doing squats and calf raises, but make sure you're actively moving around once again, because now you've really accumulated a lot of waste in your body from racing and you're sitting. So things are going to start getting stiff, and a way to help just decrease that stiffness and have you feeling a little better, actively walk around at gas stations, do some dynamic movements, just something to help kind of keep that body flushing and feeling better. I think if anyone knows, anyone's been in a situation before, I know for me, if I have like, I'm going to try to drive like late into the night and then maybe sleep a couple hours and drive in the morning. Each gas stop post race, you just feel stiffer and stiffer and stiffer after a race. So I think this is a really good way to just help start removing that waste, have you feeling better for the drive home. So those are the tips I've got for you today. Going to a race and from a race, just remember our goal is to do the best at the race and then the next race and the next race. So think about what you're doing between those times on the way to and from the race. It's definitely going to help. Now, next week, I'm going to wow, I'm out of words because I have a cat going crazy behind me. You probably can't hear you, but she's trying to get into this room. But next week, I'm going to highlight Maasto athlete and do a little case study on them. So, and as how I always on this, as a reminder, at Maasto Fitness, we build strength, endurance, and mobility training for racers and riders. Plus, we have tons of hydration and nutrition resources. If you want to give it a try, send me a message on Instagram, and I'll hook you up with a free week of our single jump training program. Have a good one.